Thank you everyone for joining us. My name is David Walker. I'm with the Small Business Development Center in Reading. We handle Shasta and Trinity counties. We provide no cost, confidential, one-on-one advisory services for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And we put on webinars like this one. And it's all paid for by your tax dollars. Thank you for paying those tax dollars, by the way. It allows us to do this kind of stuff. And we're very, very lucky to have Lani Lott presenting this, Redefining Your Marketing Plan During COVID-19. And I'm just going to let you take it from here, Lani. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, David. I'm going to go ahead and put my video on so everybody can see me while I do my little introduction, and then I'll stop that video and you'll just hear my voice while I go through my PowerPoint presentation. So let me just get down here. So David, our director, just went over our Small Business Development Center. We're Shasta-Cascade, and we cover Trinity and Shasta counties. And again, we have been very busy providing assistance for all of our small businesses out there in these two counties, helping with the economic injury disaster loan, as well as the Paycheck Protection Program when those were open, and hopefully will be opening up again soon, as well as providing our webinars to help you kind of navigate during these very, very challenging times. For tonight's presentation, we're going to do a little bit of introductions. I'll get to know you guys a little bit virtually, and I'll share a little bit about myself. And then questions, I'm going to kind of go over what are the questions that you've been asking yourself as marketers regarding how do we really market during this COVID-19 crisis. We're in our 5th week. It's only been 5 weeks, but it happened so fast, turned everybody's world upside down, and literally closed the doors of many of our small businesses, and those who were able to be essential businesses, really changing the dynamics of how we're trying to get our products and services out to our customers while we are going through this shelter at home in California. So we're going to talk about what are some of those questions, what should I be marketing, what should I be saying, and then I'm going to talk about the importance of continuing to communicate with your customers during this time, and what should you be communicating, how do you look for content, when should you post, how important are your captions, and the ways that you are communicating with your customers, and then best practices in regarding to posting content. And I'll have time at the end for questions, and as David said, we'll be able to type those in the chat box. I'll answer as many as I can as time permits. I try to keep it within our timeline. I do find that I get going and sometimes I run out of time, but those questions, if you have any and I don't get to them tonight, David will forward them to me and I will respond, and he will get those back to you tomorrow. So about me, I'm Lani Lott, and I have been a SBDC, that's short for Small Business Development Center advisor, and a self-employed consultant for close to 28 years. My consulting practice focuses on downtown and economic revitalization, as well as working with small businesses through advising and coaching. I have 20 plus years owning my own women-owned small consulting practice, LL Consulting, and have about 30 years in the industry. And just like you, I am at my home office conducting what I usually do in person, these type of workshops as webinars. I am not traveling. I usually travel close to 20 days a month out to my clients throughout the state of California and visiting with downtown organizations, but I'm sheltered here at home and unavailable to do that. So my business has pretty much been turned upside down too. So I'm very happy that I can continue to share information with all of the small businesses in Shasta and Trinity County and beyond regarding how to really market and navigate through this crisis. So if you could, in the chat box, just real quickly, what's your role in your business? What type of business are you? And how many years have you been in business? This way it'll give me just an idea of who my audience is out there that I'm engaging with. So your chat box is usually down there on that bar that's at the bottom. And if you don't see it, there's 3 dots under the more, and it should, and if you click on that, you will see chat. Hi, Linda. Linda's one of our fellow consultants here at the SBDC. She's great. Thank you for joining. Okay, so if anybody else wants to put in there, that would be great. If not, okay. Hello, a small food hall and food vendors. David, thank you. Our director always sits in on our webinars. It's always great to have his support. And he is a former entrepreneur himself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Hi, Felicia. And Rod, Meals on Wheels, welcome. Great, we got a nice, we have another fellow advisor. It's always nice to have colleagues on these calls, these webinars. Okay, I'm going to stop the video so you don't have to see me anymore, and I'm going to move on. And let me click, I'm going to minimize my chat box. There we go. Okay, so the first area I kind of want to talk about is the questions we're asking ourselves as marketers. And whether you're a marketer for a business or you're a business owner who, like myself, does everything. I do the work, I market the work, I follow up, I invoice, I'm the janitor, I'm everything. Or you're working for another organization or a nonprofit as part of their marketing team, whether that's placing print and type of advertising for them or doing their social media campaigns or networking, that we are asking ourselves, especially I hear this over and over with clients, have heard this over and over, should I stop my marketing during the outbreak? And of course, the answer is no. You really should hunker down and continue to communicate. And I like to say, softly market during this time. I know if you're like myself, you've probably seen a real shift in the types of TV and streaming ads that are going on. You know, most of our TV ads are very sensitive to everyone who's going through the pandemic. Car commercials are being very sensitive. Almost every industry, a lot of big television advertisers have stopped marketing or switched it to be much more showing how they support a different cause that they believe in, a mission-based advertising campaign. And even in our social media feeds, I'm sure you're seeing less and less of just sponsored ads about buying a product or service. It's much more sensitive to where we are now. And that isn't where we should be. It doesn't mean we can't stop promoting our marketing, our products and our services, and we truly have seen this with our restaurants who are continuing to communicate if they have delivery or takeout, curbside. Some communities can still do curbside pickup. Some retail stores have e-commerce built in already, and also have social commerce, which is like selling your product through Facebook Marketplace or a third-party program like Etsy. So these type of programs that are coming through our social media feeds are much more around those type of businesses and less about just talking about purchasing something from a store like a pair of shoes. It's more around how it's going to help you through this time, very sensitive to where we're at. And we'll talk a little bit more about that type of content. So during stressful times, we need to approach our business, of course, with common sense, rational thought, and even kindness. And I know all of us are doing that, and we're very sensitive right now. This is not the time for irrationality. In fact, I read a quote that, and I say this this to myself because I'm a big worrier. I'm always trying, as a consultant, I'm always trying to figure out things, solve the problem. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but you don't get anywhere. So we as business owners, there is one thing that we do have control over, still have control over, and that's the ability to be resilient and make choices that will get us through these times as best as possible. As a general rule, if you are able to maintain some type of your marketing during this time of crisis, then you should do that. And with our social media platforms, that most of the time, if we back off our paid advertising and we just post out organic content, it doesn't cost us that much. It's almost free, it's just our time. But a lot of thought is going into, what do I tell my customers? What kind of content should I push out there? Should I update my website? What do I put in an email blast? You should not be nervous about communicating with your customers and continuing to let them know the status of your business, whether your doors are going to be open and you're able to do e-commerce through a website or through a social commerce site, if you are doing deliveries. And once we know what the opening and rebooting and they lift the shelter at home and what the new guidelines will be, communicating with your customers through all of your social media and advertising campaign channels is going to be very key. Your customers, your community is going to want to know, what are your hours? How many people can come in the store at one time? When will you be open for business again? So we want to kind of continue to remember, we need to keep communicating with them about that you still are in business and the ways that they can conduct business with you, even if it's just supporting and writing a great review or just sharing your Facebook post to let people know you're planning on coming back, whatever it is. So sometimes it has been shown in history that a short pause is understandable, but research has proven that time and time again that the companies that actively market during a time of crisis experience higher sales and net income than just going dark. And I have to say, when I was putting this webinar together and thinking about this, we're pretty fortunate to have our social media campaigns or our social media platforms so easily at our fingertips, that we have our business Facebook pages up, or maybe we have but we haven't posted on it, so now is a good time to think about that. We may have a personal Instagram profile, but now is the time to maybe develop and push out a business Instagram profile so that your business name is still out there in the marketplace. And then of course, email marketing is the king of them all. And if you have an email list in any shape or form, we need to think about how to use that to communicate with your customers and keep them coming along with where you're at. So how should I really address my marketing approach during a crisis? Well, first of all, you need to adjust, of course, your marketing campaigns and scheduled content timelines. Now, some of you may not use a scheduling approach to your social media content. You may not have that ability. You may just be doing posts on a, as they come up and you think about them. But many companies have scheduled out a lot of their posts. And so we have to really think about, is it the right content to be pushing out when I have it scheduled? So the first thing we say is audit what you are currently running or is in your pipeline, especially if you have any pre-scheduled content, and make sure that it's appropriate for when you want it to come out. Decide what should be paused immediately. Push timelines back on major campaigns that will likely be eclipsed or paused entirely if you're not sure if the content is appropriate. Just because a campaign has some elements that aren't appropriate right now doesn't mean it needs to be scrapped altogether. It's likely that many things will be fine or will be somewhat able to be worked once the outbreak subsides and we are starting to open up our businesses on a more normal basis. So if you had content already scheduled, you already had some email blasts ready to go, but you're feeling that it's not the right time, just push it back. Don't eliminate it. Revisit it. Look through some of your past posts or tweets or email blast and see if there's something that you pushed out a while back that might be more appropriate and you could rework that. Consider what to prioritize or pivot. You may want to move some things up in the interim or look for ways to successfully pivot some messaging. For example, a campaign centered on the theme of get closer to your customers can pivot to support your customers or our customer relations matter. So audit your campaign's visuals as well. You want to really think about during this time, visual communication is powerful, as are the words we use. So it's important to think about the messages your brand is sending. Some tips are avoid visuals of crowds or people touching. This includes people working in offices or at social gatherings out of the house. I am seeing less and less of that in my social media feeds, as well as less and less of that on commercials or in paid advertising. Everyone is pretty sensitive to the social distancing. I'm even seeing a lot more and more commercials even having masks on. So those are those type of businesses that can react pretty quickly to that in those paid campaigns, those paid television ads or print ads for you in social media, much easier. So just think about that visual that you're sending out there and being sensitive to that. Reframe marketing language that describes close interaction. Reconsider language like not using get in touch or work hand in hand or get closer to your customers. These can encourage immediate reaction, maybe deeply not appreciated. Again, this isn't for the long term. This is for now. And we are not saying that we're not going to be able to lessen social distancing in the future. None of us know what those new guidelines will be. And so right now I'm talking about during the crisis or up in the next 4 weeks or 1 week, whatever it is. Think about just being sensitive to those visuals and to the messages. Not anything we ever had to even think about in the past, but now it's just right in the front of everyone's mind. Swap out your visuals. If you have a current or upcoming campaign, visuals that may be tricky, revise the imagery now or push the timeline to later in the year. And we are speaking specifically about push content here, the content that you're actively putting in front of people across your channels during this time, such as email subject lines, social posts, current campaign taglines, content and blogs. So you want to really be aware of your creative elements, your tone, your copy, your visuals, the placements. Are they appropriate and relevant to this new reality? So when we talk about more permanent brand elements like your logo or pull content like your homepage, that can remain intact unless you're actively promoting a large social event on your homepage or your hero image depicts large crowds or people touching. So some of your pull elements can remain. You don't need to go in there and change everything. So just look at that home page, look at some of your pages on your website. And if it needs to be a little bit revised, then do that. Otherwise, use a banner or something that comes across your website to speak to your audience, to your customers when they come to your website about your sensitivity of the crisis. Is your business open? And or what I'm seeing a lot of is saying that we are temporarily closed, but we continue to provide shipping and delivery. Please go to this site and we'll take your order today. So those banners are built into websites and you can add those pretty easily. So how should I really address, again, we're continuing your marketing approach. So of course, we're in our 5th week, so some of this is like old news to you. So don't capitalize on the crisis or the disaster. Keep people informed, provide and communicate as it pertains to your business. For example, you should communicate about the proactive measures you're taking, store closures or policy updates related to COVID-19. And although these messages might be getting on social media, they do add value to relationships because they're informative coming from you. And this is going to be really key as we start to reopen and lift some of the shelter at home and start to unfold and let some of our business types start to reopen for business. And so it's going to be even more key that you communicate if you're going to have different hours, if you're going to be open longer on the weekends so you can have more people come through your business spread out over a longer period of days and times. Maybe you're going to open earlier for again, for maybe a different clientele, and then longer extended hours so you can get more folks through your business. Or you're going to shorten your hours because you're not really sure right now if you have the staff to keep longer hours, what you're doing with your inventory. So all of the guidelines that are going to be coming out when we reopen are going to be very key to communicate back to your customers how it relates to your business. And they're going to be looking for that. If they're following you in your social media feeds, and if you're pushing out an email to them that drops directly into their email box, they're going to be watching and seeing how they can come out and physically support businesses in their community again. So, mind your tone. We're not going to want to say, and maybe we will down the road, but not in the short term, no hot COVID-19 sales or any other tactless type of messaging. Still very sensitive to all of how we, the type of messaging and tone we use. So be positive, and look to your brand heart for guidance. When we talk about that, it's about your purpose, your vision, your mission, and values as your North Star to remind yourself what your brand stands for, or what your business model stands for, or what's your philosophy around how you serve your customers, for what that means in the context of COVID-19. Lean into human stories. Let's get rid of that. Oops. Did I lose my PowerPoint here? There we go. I don't know if I lost that, guys. I'm sorry. I hit a button and it just kind of flipped around. So maybe you saw all of my screen. So anyways, lean into human stories. Let your principles set the tone, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Again, customers want to support you. Again, restaurants and businesses are bending over backwards to be open at the best that they can. And we're doing everything we can to really get our small businesses community back up on their feet. And once we lift and reboot and reopen, it's going to be very important that people are going to want to come and visit your business again. And by right now communicating with them on a more regular basis, even if that's just twice a week with a post on your Facebook page, and letting them know what you're doing, how you're working towards your business, that you just applied for an economic injury disaster loan, or you're going to be, the first thing you're going to do when your business is open is you're going to clean those windows and refresh that window display, whatever it is. So really looking at your brand heart for guidance. Think about your future messaging. Now's the time to kind of think about what you may be wanting to lay out in the next 4 weeks. Develop a 90-day snapshot plan of how you plan on unrolling once you're able to open again. What kind of messaging, what kind of social media campaign do you want to run? Do you want to do an email blast and announcing that you're reopened with your hours? Take some time now to get that all set up and put it on the back burner as a draft. when we start reopening and we're able to conduct business, the non-essential businesses, you're going to be so busy trying to just get your shop, get your business, get your customer base back in, that you're not going to have time to really think about taking the time to develop some messaging. So now would be the time to draft it. And you can leave blanks in it and just put it in a draft form. And then when you know more particulars, exact days and times, then drop it in and push it out. We've been looking at this probably less and less because we've had to furlough or a lot of our business staff. But if you're bringing back some of your staff because you were able to be approved for a paycheck protection program and you need to bring those employees back, but they can't come into your restaurant or your store yet, use them for some employee generated content. Ask them to think about a set of posts that you may want to post on your Facebook page, or what could you do for some Instagram. Maybe develop some little stories. You want to, as the business owner, have control and not control, but you want to have oversight. But give your employees something to do while they're sitting at their home on your dime if you were able to have the paycheck, you approved for the paycheck protection program, and those dollars are starting to come into your bank account. Maybe they could write a personal story or a blog for your email blast, or a blog about what they've been doing while they've been while they were furloughed. And now that they're so excited, they're back on the payroll, the first thing they're going to do when they come back. So create some of that content. You don't have to publicize it yet. You don't have to push it out, but why not? Have a picture of them. They are technically your employees if you were able to bring them back on. And highlight how your brand can help. Communicate your benefits. Does your product give people things to do at home? Does it help people do their jobs without face-to-face interaction? Clarify your brand's potential unique value in this culture movement and share it. A business that I know up in a little community south of Redding, up in Grass Valley, they are able to still do curbside delivery, and she has 800 puzzles sitting in her toy store. And so she has been pushing out through their Instagram the puzzles, and people will direct message them or call them or email them which puzzle they want, and they have 2 times a week they can have curbside delivery, and they're there to deliver that to the car. Their employees are suited up and ready for that, and they've already been paid because they're using Square. So there's an example of a very creative way. Now she's pushing it out in channels that she was not set up for. Very long-standing business, never did Instagram or Facebook, didn't need to, had enough foot traffic. Those times changed immediately. Took them a good 2 weeks to figure it out. Once they did, they're on a roll. So, and then think about creative, helpful content. Even if your product doesn't directly help folks deal with the quarantine, your brand can still provide value to people. How can you educate, entertain, or inspire them while they're stuck at home? And we're seeing a lot of those type of content coming into different social media feeds. But maybe you need to think about how you might want to entertain or educate your customers about something that is relative to their lives from your business perspective. As long as you keep on the focus of helping people, your marketing doesn't have to stop, is a message that I'm trying to communicate with you. So what should I consider for my brand, customers, or clients? What industry is your business in? Think about that. Right now, maybe you might want to do a little research, see if you and your industry associations have any recommendations of the kind of content that you could push out if you're a non-essential business. I'm thinking, non-essentials being hair salons and massage therapists and some of our retail smaller stores. A lot of them are becoming very creative. And it doesn't generate, of course it doesn't generate generate the type of cash flow that we were used to when we had our customers coming to us and able to pay us for having our hair done or our hair cut by the barber. But if we're keeping some kind of two-way communication with them, we're keeping our brand front of mind. So when they are ready, I'm thinking our hair salon and barbers are going to be really busy once we lift the shelter at home and they are able to open up. They're going to be taking appointments like crazy. I was talking to a master barber the other day, and she said, you know, she keeps changing the appointments. She keeps pushing them further out. She has them on the books. She's communicating with them directly that their appointment's coming up May 3rd. Doesn't look like she'll be open by then. Could she make it for the next week? And that they, of course, are saying, yes, please do that. So that is an extension of how she is marketing directly to customers that have appointments she's already set. I am doing the same. Had a series of trainings that were planned for all of April and all of May. And in one day, they were all canceled or pushed back into October and November. And a couple of them that were set for June, I've sent out an email to my clients, said, I don't know if you're going to still be able to provide these services, this technical assistance. I've retooled some of what I was going to be talking about. I'm open in July and August. Do you want to reschedule, push it back? I know you're really busy right now. So offering that ability and communicating with them. And that's pretty much subtle marketing. That's customer relationships. That's really staying in one-to-one communication with those key customers. So the next thing to consider about your brand and customers or clients is, are you a business brick and mortar? Does that mean you have a storefront? E-commerce, or both? I think I saw that we have a couple food trucks. Don't know if food trucks are able to operate now, but you might be pushing out where if you are considered essential and you are able to deliver food, more of your food truck business might be boiling up to the front of your business while your storefront or your other type of delivery services in the back burner. So we really need to think about your marketing as in what, type of business you are. A lot of bricks and mortar or businesses that have actually storefronts or office buildings, office space. We wish we all had e-commerce. We've been talking about developing that for years, having as much go out the back door as out the front door, but because so many of us are small businesses and we do so much in a day and we don't have deep resources, that we just haven't gotten to that point yet. So looking at other creative ways to get your products and services into the marketplace, or do some research now to look at what e-commerce sites really look like. What are the costs? Are there other ways to do it? Because you're going to have to populate it. It takes a lot of time that you may have now to do the research, but may not have the time to actually implement it until after you get open. How are your core target markets or users impacted by COVID-19? For me, a lot of my clients are cities and municipalities. They're all shut down. Nobody can do anything. Resources are tight, so my target market has been really impacted. Except for my client here at the SBDC has actually increased my time and my ability to do more webinars, to meet one-on-one, not in person, but through a Zoom meeting. So couple of my clients fallen off for a few months, while other clients are still there and have actually increased how many hours I've been able to work for them. So you have to kind of think about those core target markets. For those of us who depend heavily on the visitor market and the tourist market, yes, that has been greatly impacted. If that was your primary market and you didn't really cater to the local, so now is the time to think about how could I capture some of the local market while my visitor market grows back up over this next few months, 6 months, don't know. Hopefully it's shorter than that, you know, especially because up here in Shasta and Trinity and Northern California, we're very seasonally driven. And I know a few of my clients up in Weaverville are really missing out, are going to miss out on their target season, which is the summer. So they're going to be looking at the fall as maybe an opportunity to have more visitors coming through versus losing the visitorship during the summer. So you have to kind of think about your target markets and when do they come see you, who are they, and kind of readjust. How is the coronavirus influencing your consumers' buying habits? We're buying more online. We're supporting our local restaurants by doing takeout. Will this, and I think we're not really sure, will this really be a huge shift in consumers' buying habits? Yes, I think it will. We're more comfortable with buying online now, but we are still wanting to physically go down and touch and shop and see products in stores, or go on and have a sit-down dining experience versus bringing all our food in take-home containers and eating around the dining room table. So we're still going to want to have that experience, but we're going to be, I think, seeing two parallel tracks for businesses. Those who can continue to support, you know, and do deliveries and shipping and e-commerce, as well as then getting their doors open so customers can come in and actually purchase directly from our local business owners. How can you provide more value to those customers at this time through your products and services? I'm going to talk about this over and over and over again. You need to know who your top 20 to 50 most loyal customers are. 20% of your customer base probably drives 80% of your revenue. Do you have their emails? Do you know who they are? Do you know when they shop? Do you know how much they purchased from you? Go back and glean through some of your QuickBooks data, and if you've been tracking and taking, you know, knowing who your customers are, and you're putting that into your QuickBooks, and you can do a report that shows which of your customer base is purchasing the most from you. Those are the ones that you want to kind of be pushing out and marketing to now, and letting them know how they can purchase from you if they can. And if they can't, those would be the 20% you're going to want to maybe even personally call and say, we're open for business Monday through Thursday this time, or Monday through Sunday, whatever it's going to be. But you want to invite back those most loyal customers. You got to know who your customer base is. Is this your opportunity for your brand to go up and beyond, to give back? And we're seeing a lot of this. A lot of businesses are contributing small and large amounts back to different mission-based organizations. And if you have one in your community and you want to do 10% of your online sales, and it goes back to the food bank or to the shelter, the pet shelter or the animal shelter, or even just to your local Big Brothers, Big Sisters facility, whatever it is. A lot of businesses are now giving back because a lot of these organizations are very taxed with what's going on. And if you don't, that's okay too. That's a decision. You don't have to do that, but you may want to promote some of these online type of fundraisers that they're doing, or the virtual giving, and just promote it through your Facebook network, through your social media campaigns, and share an email that you get. Create an email talking about your business, and then here are 7 ways you can give local to our community to make sure that we're all in this together. And then, are your employees safe, and are you offering safe consumer experiences? And this is going to be, it is key now for those essential businesses that are open. We're seeing a lot of that being communicated through our marketing channels. But as you open up, and how are you going to offer safe consumer experiences with the guidelines that are provided? It's going to be a little tricky. There's going to be folks out there that are still going to be nervous. don't know what the guidelines are going to be, if we're going to have to all wear masks for the first 6 weeks or 1 week or 1 day, or it's going to be optional, but just thinking about how you communicate that. So the questions again, how can I adapt my marketing plan for the long term? And this is really thinking once we're maybe beyond the shelter at home and we're open up a little bit. So as COVID-19 starts to unfold and brands and agencies need to keep a close eye on the changing consumer behaviors, and just mentioned that a little bit in the prior slide, and impacts on individual industries to ask the right questions, ensure they're prepared for any outcomes and new opportunities. So what are going to be some of the shifts? Well, obviously increased work from home periods will naturally lead to an increase in the time spent online for personal use. With all else equal, this will potentially lead to an increase in ad inventory across several platforms. If an ad inventory increases and ad purchasing stays the same or declines, then there's a cost to buy. That inventory will naturally fall. So I'm even thinking that the at-home wanting to stay and work from home, I've heard time after time from some of my colleagues is, oh, I love working at home. You know, it's just so much easier than traveling. Being road warriors is really hard. Haven't had to pack my suitcase. Are we as productive? Don't know. A lot of businesses, maybe they're going to see that they can be more efficient, more productive, allowing some more work at home. So some of that shift could trickle down to businesses looking at how they're going to reach more at home workers if they have more time to be on their personal computer versus it being there looking at their personal social media platforms when they're at work. As many people opt to remain in their homes, delivery services like what we're seeing out there with Amazon or Uber Eats or DoorDash are likely to see increase in demand due to their ability to provide the products and services directly to the consumer's door. So we may see more of this even once we start to open up and restaurants are able to serve again. Now that they've got the delivery down and people are used to it, they may be promoting that. Restaurants may promote that. Some of the retail stores that had e-commerce, they've built their e-commerce sites up and people are more apt. They may be wanting to promote that more as they bring people in the front door, continuing to build out their e-commerce supply and pushing that out, so that becomes another growing revenue source for them, especially as we look into the fourth quarter, our holiday season. I think a lot of retail businesses, a lot of businesses that are seasonality driven may be looking at, I'm going to encourage my clients to really develop a plan so that they can capture as much of the seasonality consumer base when they're in their shops or restaurants, so that they can promote and market to them year round and continue to push out and provide products through their e-commerce sites. Your marketing shift as the world pushes through this challenging time. Compassion in advertising will be critical to ensure that brands remain in the positive light. And I think that these are going to continue. Businesses should be a resource for their employees, consumers, and other stakeholders. I think we're going to see more of a sensitivity in our ad. Oh, I see I have some flashing chats. Can you guys not hear me? Let me see what this says here. Okay, I'll address that in a minute. Okay. So, whoops, let me go back here. My little chat box flashes when there's a little thing in there, so I didn't want to ignore it. And then understand how your marketing will need to shift. Your businesses are likely already have a marketing plan in place for the coming months. You need to look at that. You need to start, and if you don't have one, start working on it now. Go look for the summer season and then, or the rest of the summer and fall season, and then look at that last quarter. Develop your marketing plan now. We're here, our SBDC advisors can help you with that process, but you know, some of it may no longer be relevant in this for the remainder of this year. So you want to kind of think about what will be relevant, what do I need to communicate. Now is the time to take a snapshot of the next 90 days, the next 6 months, and really update your marketing strategy, your marketing plan. And I know you're going to have to be conservative with your resources. So what can you do from a grassroots, more through your social media campaigns? Are you going to invest in any advertising through your social media campaigns? If in the past you've done some print in the last quarter because that's your biggest quarter, what will be available? Will there, you know, maybe you might want to talk to some of your ad partners, some of your publication partners. What are they going to be offering? I think that when we start to unroll, what are we going to be doing from a community, from a downtown district, if you belong to that, or even in your own a strip mall or mall environment? What kind of print opportunities are there going to be? I know we're not going to have a lot of resources, so maybe they're going to offer some tiered and type of financing, so you pay nothing up front and everything in 6 months after you get through your last quarter. So you need to start thinking about that, how your marketing is going to shift. So how should you communicate with your customers? And if I was in a live workshop right now, I'd be asking you, how are you communicating with them? Are you communicating with them? When was the last time you posted anything in your social media platform? When was the last time you sent out an email? Hopefully, if you have a storefront and it is closed because you're a non-essential business, have you been forwarding those messages to your home or to wherever you are? Or are you able to go back there and pick up your messages? Are you actively looking at your emails? Are you emailing out personal notes to people? You know, how are you communicate? Honest, frequent communication is key. You really need to think about how you are continually communicating and bringing your customers along with you on this journey. It's unfortunate that I've seen a few businesses already, not so much posted up in our area, but in other parts of the country, that they're having to permanently close. It's heartbreaking, and that's not what we want to have to communicate, but sometimes that is what we need to do. And maybe they had been working on a succession plan for a while. Our customers do not want to see that. They're trying everything to do to support our businesses through this time, but you got to help them along the journey. You got to communicate with them. If you're using your website or any of your social media campaigns to keep them informed, make sure that it is current. It should be front and center, because everybody wants to know, are you at the very least keeping your employees protected? All the sort of information, and it needs to be very accessible along all of your platforms. Google recommends displaying a banner or a pop-up on your website. Add pertinent information or updates to your FAQ pages if you have those on your website. Post a personal message on your site, best if it's live. Google has update your Google My Place, Google My Business. And I wanted to show you here that there's Yuba Blue, the little snapshot of the Instagram on the left is a little store in Northern California, and they have the banner temporarily closed. If you link on her website or you go further into her site, then she's also shipping and has figured out how to ship and is selling products through her e-commerce or social commerce site. Those products that are up at the top, the most sought off products that she carries, and this is a very large, unique boutique. But her soap, she's known for her soaps, she's known for her shoes, she's known for her socks, you know, some of those things, her jewelry. So she's starting to really capture all of that, and that's what she's pushing out into her marketing. So Fox Restaurants, a letter from Sam. He is the owner, personal letter. I would have liked it better if he did a live video or a live YouTube and addressed his customers directly, but he put it into a personal note. And then what I'm seeing with Google My Business, where I put that little blue arrow, is it shows that little caution sign that hours or services may differ, but it doesn't allow for it to drop down so you know what they are. So that's kind of a glitch. They may need to do a better job by going over into their Facebook page and push out what their hours are and have people make sure that they know what those are, because Google My Business is good. It still has a few little glitches in it. Be creative with your email, but be sensitive. Consumers receive an initial wave of coronavirus-related emails from businesses explaining how they're responding. Resist messaging your customers again with bland or worse, irrelevant response updates. Get creative to break up the dry email that doesn't really make sense right now. You know, for example, a local restaurant that I was reading about promotes a do-it-yourself pizza kit, which included a pack of toilet paper as example. Now that's pretty creative. So you have to, and it's hard during this crisis. I know we're all hunkered down. We're all trying to just keep our income coming in the best we can, doing everything we can to apply for these programs that SBA is pushing out, and just really trying to navigate these unknown waters that we're all in. But if you do have the ability to feel creative, and this may be where you do use some of your staffing power, and just think about it, be strategic, and if it doesn't fit for your business, that's okay too. You don't need to do it. Seek deeper engagements via social media. Encouraging direct engagement between your staff and your audience via social media can help humanize your business, continue to serve your customers, and keep you relevant while social distancing is in effect. If you're able to have staff, have them do a live demonstration of something. If you're bringing them back from, oh, I'm watching this cat go through my backyard and it's not my cat. Probably tracking down one of my birds. Sorry, folks, it's a at-home business here. Looking out my window, can see my backyard. What's happening? All those things you miss when you're down at your shop, right? So think about maybe engaging your staff, having them do some YouTube. Linda at our is one of our advisors. She's fabulous on YouTube. She posted a little clip on how best practices for YouTube. If you can do Facebook Live, maybe demonstrating something of a product or service that you provide. We're seeing restaurants who are able to sell and deliver drinks with the food, demonstrating how to do the mix drink that you're buying while you pick up your food. We're seeing all kinds of creative things out there. So how can you engage with your customers at that point? I saw a local school on Facebook the other day that was having their teachers do Facebook Live story time for kids. So there's one way of engaging, and maybe your business is wanting to do story time, or if you sell books or something like that. Incorporate offline messaging. On my morning walk, instead of watching the news, just about every business that's closed has some kind of notice from their owner on its door with their phone number on saying it. If you need something, call me. And to me, that's a really great way to deal with this. Putting up a storefront notice with contact information can show your customers you're still in reach. Same thing can go through your email marketing or your social media campaigns. Let them know how you can be reached. I just ordered from a friend of mine that's an artist in Sacramento, and her gallery's closed because she's a non-essential business, but she is making fancy mask that you wear, right? So I ordered 4 of them from her. She posted it in her Facebook. You order 4 from me. She gave the amount. She sent me a link to her Square. I did it, and she's shipping it to me. She said she put it in the mail today. Really fun, creative mask. Not that anything she would have thought of doing, but she, because I had a relationship with her, because I'm following her on my social media news feed, and she posted it out in Instagram, I was apt to support her for that. Will my little purchase help her? No. In the short term, yes. Is it a large amount that she would make from selling a piece in her gallery? No. But again, she's staying in contact. She's providing me with something I needed, and it's artistic. So it all kind of came in kind of a 3-pillar approach. So off messaging, she doesn't have a website, so I direct messenger through Messenger with Facebook. That's how we're communicating with a lot of our customers these days, using those offline messaging type of venues. And the phone, folks, the cell phone or the hardline phone still works great. Picking it up, calling, leaving a message on the message machine, or if you have a phone with and you can't answer it, make sure the message talks about when you can get back to them, when you're taking orders, your website that you're still being able to sell e-commerce. Make sure that all that messaging is in sync. Have a plan and stay calm. When you reach out to your customers, you need to sound confident and knowledgeable. Your customers need to hear that you have a handle on the situation and that your business is available to them. Avoid making hasty, impulsive decisions during this time. Think strategically. Make sure you consider all your options and be open to changing the plan as the situation evolves. And if anything has taught us that in the last 4 weeks, that's what we've been. Small businesses, we've always said we're the most flexible out there, and we have proven it time and time again. Not easy, but in a very short period of time, many small businesses became very flexible how they got the products and services out to their customers. You don't want to lock yourself into a stance that later becomes irrelevant. Continue to focus on the customers you have. I've talked to you a little bit about that. Your current customers are your best bet for staying profitable in the months to come, and now is the time on delivering excellent service and providing for your existing customers. Those are the ones that we're really communicating with. Those are the ones that we're marketing back to. They want and will support you. So what should you be posting on your social media? Listen and acknowledge. That's what a lot of what should be posting. You're listening to what's going on. You're acknowledging the environment we're operating in as things start to unroll, and you know what the reboot or the reopening plan may be for your county, your state, your area, your type of business. Then you want to start to post that. You want to start to communicate that. And you don't want to start with, I don't know what the heck is going on, but I'm going to be open when I can be open. That doesn't really talk about confidence. And most businesses are not doing that. I'm sure you're all looking at what's being posted by your fellow businesses. If you don't have anything to post and you have a fellow restaurateur that's close to your closed business right now, post what they're doing. Support their efforts. And then once you're open again, they'll do the same for you. Keep posting, align with your brand values, and captions are most important right now. Whether it's a caption in your content or a caption in your email tagline, whatever it is, just be very thoughtful about that. This is the Straw House Organic Coffee. It's at the Straw House Resorts, and this is on Highway 299, halfway between Eureka and Weaverville. They are known for their coffee. Their resort is closed. The restaurant is, I think they're still serving if people are, they can do takeout, but they have coffee, and they have it in a lot of different stores, but they also sell online. And this was their post that I just pulled down today. We deliver to your car door or your front door, call, or go to their online. So they have different ways of getting that great coffee into their customers' hands. Offer compassion and use the right tone in your captions. Provide organic value. Focus on engagement and provide value. Ask for help if you need it. And I would say just see what your like businesses from other non-competing areas are posting, and just post. I'm just going to say just do something on your social media channels, platforms. Now is not the time to not be posting, and just kind of be creative, think through, talk with some of your fellow business owners, ask them what they think of this idea of posting, or could we do some posts together, or could we host a Facebook Live or a live YouTube together virtually. We're seeing this all done all over. Just got to think outside of the box right now, and I can't stress that enough, with the sensitivity of not just buying my product 101, but being sensitive to communicating and what we're going through as a community and as a small business community. Okay, so I wanted to really talk about the content that is directly related to the status of your business, because some businesses are open and hustling. And these are your essential businesses, and they are kind of charting the course for how we're going to reopen if you're a non-essential business. And your essential businesses, of course, are like your grocery stores, and for them, and for our a lot of our pharmacies, a lot of those essential businesses, is a very super stressful, busy time for them. And they're likely leaning on free organic channels like Instagram more than ever before. And a lot of our restaurants are leaning on that. They show up in our stories every day. It doesn't take, you don't have to look perfect, but it's important to stay top of mind with your followers now more than ever. Don't stop trying to sell if you are open and hustling. And we're seeing this in our restaurants. They're continuously posting out every day, delivery, deals, full dinners for $35, get your extra bottle of wine for another $10. So this is what these type of businesses are doing, is they're just trying to stay and continue to post. If you're closed for now, or unable to operate right now, you want to share content with a goal of retention, staying in touch with your existing followers so that you're top of mind when they're able to use your service or book an experience with you again. So share educational videos, whether that's through your stories on your Instagram, on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, YouTube. If you wouldn't normally create video content, now is a great time to be learning it. We're seeing a lot of hair salons talk about do-it-yourself hair coloring, or cutting your husband's hair, heaven forbid, right? Or how to do a French braid. So we're seeing some creative things like that. Run a social media audit. Create an on-brand highlight covers, update your bio, archive any of your old posts that don't fit with you. Go through and really scrub through your social media channels. Make it as current as possible. Freshen it up. Change the cover picture so that it looks fresh every week. Think about how you could keep it current and fresh. And are all links working on your website? Do you need to update your bio on your website or some of your products and services? Are there new ones that were introduced over the last year and you just haven't had time? So take this time to really freshen up, make current all of those ways that you touch your customer through your marketing efforts, because once we start to reopen, you're going to be really busy, and we're just going to be really busy getting our shop in order, getting our food truck in order, getting our office building, our office back in order, and for me, making sure I still fit in my consulting clothes, because being at home, I've been wearing, my day jammies all day, and I'm thinking that maybe I better try on my consulting skirt when I'm up in front of a group so I know it still fits. So we're going to be super busy. So think about, some of those areas that you've always wanted to do but haven't had the time, and now is the time to kind of either think about starting to incorporate them into your marketing toolbox, or at least research, find out what the costs are, find some folks that can help you with that. And then business as usual, or if your business is in a strong position or you're not worried because you have a decent amount of cash in the bank, you're in a healthy spot to create content with the goal of awareness. Maybe you might want to invest in a little bit of boosted Facebook ads, or maybe experimenting a little bit on Instagram ads. I'm just saying, if this is an area that you might have a few resources because you've got some extra dollars tucked away in your marketing budget, now might be the time to start to look at using it, or develop a plan for once you're reopened and we're rebooted to really beef up that ad campaign. I put on here several resources to help you navigate some tips for Twitter, and then some tips from LinkedIn. And these are two sites that I tested, and they're really great. If they don't come through as a direct link on the recording or the PowerPoint, just copy and paste it into your URL, into your browser, into your browser, and it'll take you right to it, and you can follow it along. They're really great. So when should you send out an email about COVID-19? You should be sending one out already. If you have useful, meaningful information to share, if you have customers that may be more sensitive to the crisis, such as a therapist, a dentist, a CPA. I have a dentist appointment set for May 4th, and I have not heard boo from my dentist. So am I supposed to cancel it? Am I supposed to go there? Maybe he's tried to send something to me. I haven't seen it, even had a phone call about that appointment. Are they moving it? So, I'm kind of like wondering, what do I do? We need to take that guessing away from our consumers, our customers, and you make it so it's easy for them to understand that you're moving their appointments a week, or you're going to move them into June because you're still not sure about reopening yet. Don't be afraid to do that. You can always go backwards. You can always call them up and say, hey, I open next week and I can take that appointment that I moved into later May. Can you come in today? You can always do that. If you have a brick and mortar location, you should let them know. And you probably already have, you're temporarily closed. So you're going to be sending out another email about your opening plan once we know that. And if you are an approved essential business and you want to share how you're following the World Health Organization guidelines for your customers and employees alike, you probably have already done this. What I found so extremely helpful, and I talked a little bit about this in my email marketing class, webinar last week, is I received 2 different emails from my CPA, one on the CARES Act summary for businesses. And although I knew a few of what the CARES Act provided, I had no idea of the depth of the other CARES Act opportunities that for businesses in areas that didn't relate to my business, but would have if I was either a corporation or had a partnership or was doing something with a 401k. And then I received a second email from my CPA for the CARES Act in summary for individuals. So in those 2 emails added so much value that I saw immediately that the $645 I pay them each year to do my taxes, which, trust me, is extremely valuable. That added extra value of having that CPA as my CPA. So that was really important with that email came through. So when you're thinking about emails, ways to make your COVID-19 email more effective, only include useful content that is generally from the heart. We don't want to be pushing out a lot of stuff about, buy from me, promotions, summer promotions, because they're just not happening. Draft emails that are easy to skim. You want to think about the email that is going to be easy for them to read. Keep it concise. Add a note about the virus to your existing newsletter or regular email blast. Cancel existing campaigns that don't make sense for times now. And if you are using automated emails, double check them, making sure that you've turned them off, that they're not going to automatically come out through your Hootsuite or something that you forgot you had. Validate your sender's name and preview text. Avoid unnecessary calls to action. Do not include a pointer reference should they want to read more information or simply, or do include a pointer reference if they want to read more information or simply navigate your website. And then monitor your deliverability metrics. Did you break them up in smaller batches so they all went out? There's a lot that goes into email marketing campaigns if you're using a third-party program like Constant Contact or MailChimp, or if you're even using one that's just directly tied to your website. If you're not using any of those that have the templates, just sending out small batches of blinded emails through your own email, talking about what you're doing. You're missing your customers. Can't wait till you have, see them again. Here's what you're doing during this time. Here's how you're preparing for your rebooting. Just email them. So where do you go from here with your e-marketing? How are you going to redefine your marketing in the next 6 months? So right now, audit all of your marketing assets. Look at each piece with a critical eye. Which images and high quality pieces can you repurpose for other channels? Which received the most backlinks or social shares? What garnished the most traffic to your website? Think about every touch point, your photos, your videos, your blogs, your presentations, your white papers, your ebooks, your emails, articles you published. Is everything current on all of your touch points? Your website, I talked a lot about this. We assume it is. I need to go back into my own website and make sure all my information is current and my links are working. It's amazing how quickly some of this disappears. Do you have videos that you want to repurpose on your Facebook page that you want to move up? Maybe they are, not working. So you just need to go through there and do kind of an audit. Freshen up your branding strategy. You may want to freshen it up. Be aware not to change it too much because your brand is your brand, and all of your content, your fonts, your colors, your logo, your messaging has all built into your brand, so you don't want to change it all to completely. However, if this was something you've been thinking about wanting to do, but you weren't sure how to go about it, Then maybe it's time to rethink of freshening up your logo. Talking to a graphic designer that you know, maybe get some prices. Maybe it's not the right time now. You might want to think about rolling it out in 2021. What would that look like? And we may want to do that, and it may have been a goal of yours for a while, you just haven't gotten to it yet. Start planning for how you will market during your reboot or your reopening. Develop a strategy for the next 90 days. Several scenarios. Scenario 1 is we open up May 1st. Scenario 2 is we open up May 31st. Scenario 3 is we open up June 1st, or we open up in May, we open up in June. Think about that. What would look different if you opened up in May versus you opened up in June? Your inventory may be different. You may need to be thinking about how you're going to change some of your inventory. You're going to be going through the summer. Miss spring altogether, and now we're into summer. You may want to think about your window displays. You may want to think about your hours. So now is the time to kind of develop that short-term reopening plan. I have down here or maybe I didn't put it in this one, but I'm going to tell you this. Hold a Zoom with your fellow businesses. Your businesses that are close to you in your strip mall, close to you in your downtown quarter, close to you in your network, and hold it, or colleagues that you value and you just want to have a brainstorming. Hold a Zoom meeting with them or some kind of virtual meeting where you can talk about what are the plans, how are we going to do this. Start to really communicate and develop a promotional calendar, especially for your last quarter, the last quarter of the season, especially if that holiday season, the fall, Halloween, or October. Then we have November, then we have the holidays starting in December. How are you going to navigate that? What are you going to do different this year? What can you do? Are you going to do more in-personal shopping for certain parts of your target market, for more local? Are you going to be open later in the evenings? How are you going to think about this? And really put some thought into it now that you have a little bit of time. Don't be afraid of planning, and plan for the best within what you can manage with your resources you have on hand. And if you have to do more grassroots type of marketing because you're not going to have the resources right in the beginning to invest in more print publication type of marketing, then figure out what kind of aggressive, robust social media, organic campaigns do you want to do. And more customers are going to be more comfortable with digital offerings because that's all we've had lately is coming through our email boxes. And so if you do direct mail and you want to do it again, make it digital also. Make it so that people can use it digitally or they receive it hard mail to your customer base that appreciates and wants direct mail pieces. And then think about how you might incorporate some of the emerging trends as you think about your marketing for the next 6 months. Do it yourself will be more popular. Is there some pieces in your business, especially if you have a type of business that is a storefront, and maybe you'll do some more demonstrations this last quarter. Flexible work arrangements, delivery, e-commerce, social commerce, discounted or free services. A lot of our small businesses offer that already. Maybe you got to pump it up and put it into the front of your marketing, that you do free gift wrapping that you'll ship free within any 20-mile radius. Some of that you have to absorb in your cost, but if that is something that you feel adds value and people will purchase and they want to mail, you want to ship it for them, then continue to offer that service. Swoosh! That is it, and I even have 10 minutes left. So I'm going to take a drink of water here. I'm going to open up the chat box, see what kind of questions. If you have any questions, or Okay, thank you. Marilena's letting me know the LinkedIn link is incorrect. I will fix that. I probably cut and pasted it wrong in my PowerPoint. Thank you for letting me know that. I will fix that for everybody before I send it out as the deck to David tomorrow. Okay. Oh, Linda wants to that she posted on how to use Zoom on her that was in your Facebook or your website. She did Zoom, not so much a YouTube, but I think that's going to be happening too. So thank you, Linda, for
Yeah,
that.
that's on our YouTube page now, the SBDC YouTube page.
Okay, and is that being opened up? Are we starting to promote that?
Yeah, real soon.
Okay, okay, real soon.
Everybody here will see a link to it because that's where I'm going to put this video tomorrow when it's done. So you'll see it there.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to have a great YouTube channel. We're going to be doing some 1 minute, like you can listen to it for a minute and learn a whole bunch. And we're going to be covering all kinds of topics, primarily focused now on the crisis. And then as we roll out through the year, more deeper subjects. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, that'll be fun. See ourselves on the YouTube channel, our own YouTube channel for Shasta-Cascade SBDC. So do we have any other questions or comments? Oh, suggestion on how much time to spend per day to make this manageable. You mean, well, you know what you can give it. The thing about a lot of social media, like Facebook, has the ability to schedule your post over, you know, a month, 2-month period. So finding what works for you and just dedicating that much time. Some, like doing email marketing, can take a little bit more time because you got to put some thought into, you know, are you going to do a monthly newsletter or a quarterly newsletter? Are you going to do a once-a-month update and a template? That takes more time to kind of create that template and get it in place. But then once you have it in place, it doesn't take as long. Always proofing, thinking about, you know, live or YouTube takes a little bit more time because it's just you're live and you want it to be perfect, your post. So I would say think about if you wanted to post at least 2 to 3 times a week, kind of put it into some buckets. Like on Mondays, I'm going to post about this. On Wednesdays, it's going to be about a product or service that I provide. And on Friday, I'm going to promote what's happening in the community. And if you have a little book and you see ideas come to you for content, drop it in there. I managed 3 different clients' Facebook pages, plus my own, which I'm not so good at, but I should get better. Bit more regular posting. So for social media, I think you should at least dedicate a minimally 30 minutes a day if you can, or an hour. And maybe you might want to do it, you know, in the evenings or something along that line. I think your social media should take you no more than an hour a day, especially if you're writing down ideas or saving things that are you're looking at things that you want to share or you want to, you know, screenshot and use later, or you're writing down a great blog. Blogging takes a little longer. So there's really no way to say how much should you spend each day. If you develop a plan, it'll give you some more ideas of what might take longer, when you might want to do it. So that's a hard one to answer. Just give it what you can. And right now we may have more time than when we're actually, if you're a non-essential business, you may have more time now. And we get distracted easily when we're at home or we're not in our shop. We're not doing all those things that are routine for us that take up a lot of times of our day. So maybe now's the time to sit back and make this a priority, and then figure out how you're going to incorporate it in as you start to go back to business as somewhat as usual. Linda said she loved the idea of creating a 90-day plan, then setting up scenarios. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. Yeah, with different restart dates. Again, now is a lot of time to use to plan. Like we tell all of our clients, business planning is the key piece that we like to see, and a lot of time we're so busy operating and managing our business we don't have time to plan. So if you have a little bit of time now, unfortunately it was imposed upon us, it wasn't our choice, maybe take that time to plan out your 90 days and then maybe even think about what you might want to do over your last fourth quarter. Okay, so with that said, David, do you want to wrap it up for us and go from there?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Lonnie. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you, everybody that showed up to this. Very much appreciate your time. You'll be getting 3 things by email tomorrow. Well, 1 email with 3 things in it. There'll be a link to this video of the presentation. You'll get the slides. And there's also going to be a link to a survey, and we would really appreciate your feedback. It only take you a minute is all to fill out the survey. So we'd really appreciate it if you'd click on that, respond, be honest, tell us what you thought about this. It helps us in planning these things. It helps us make them better. And it also helps the SBA believe that we actually do this stuff so that we can get our funding continued. So thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciate it. And with that, we'll stop the recording and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, David.